Hi, my name is Belinda and I'm the training lady. Today I want to show you one of my favorite features in Excel, which is the conditional formatting options. Now, I've got quite a few articles on my blog site, which you can catch at www.thetraininglady.com. But this is just one of them that is always in that top kind of 5 to 10 most popular articles on my site. So I thought I'd create a video just to show people this in action. Now, we're going to use conditional formatting to essentially get it to highlight information on a spreadsheet for us. What I'm wanting to do is I do have a list of some dates here, and I want Excel to go through and essentially highlight dates that are before today's date. Now, we're using a combination here of conditional formatting alongside a function. Now, the Excel function we're going to use here is actually called the today function. Now, the today function is sitting in cell B5 for me. And you can see when I click on that, you can see the name of the function up here, and it just says equals today, and it has the open and the close little bracket in it. Now, what that does on the system is it grabs today's date for me and displays it in this Excel spreadsheet. Now, the really nice thing is that I can now use that to use other functions, or in this case, I'm going to utilize it in conjunction with conditional formatting, so that every time that I open my spreadsheet, it's going to dynamically update according to today's date. Now, as I said, I've got a list of dates here. I've got some dates from August this year through to April of 2026. And ultimately, I want anything that's before today's date to show up. Now, this is really great if you wanted to highlight things like dates that have passed. Great for highlighting where things have passed a due date or an expiry date. So really good for that type of activity. Now, what we're going to do here is I am going to go ahead and we're going to set this conditional formatting up. And I just want to highlight the cells that actually have the dates in it at the moment. So go ahead and highlight those. And then I'm going to go up to my home tab here on the ribbon. And just in the middle section here, you can see the conditional formatting button. Now, when I click on that, I am going to go and create my own conditional formatting rules. So we're able to create these from various different aspects of our data. You can see that we do have some different categories here, but the one that I'm going to use, as I said, I'm going to create a new rule from scratch. All right, so choose new rule, and it will open up a little dialog box for you. Now, we've got 6 different options to choose from in here. You can see some of these are based off things like averages, getting it to format things where there are either unique or duplicate values in our data. But I want to go with the second option here that says format only cells that contain. Now, when you select that, down the bottom section here, it shows you the rule description, so the details of this particular rule. And by default, it's going to base this off what the cell values are, and that's exactly what we want to use here. But what it's asking me to do here is it's asking whether we want to have cell values between 2 values, and we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is drop down this little criteria box here, and I'm going to look through the list here. Now, you can see that there's no kind of before today or before reference, but less than is an equivalent. All right, so we've got to remember Excel uses different terminology than how we would explain things. So I'm going to choose less than, and now it's only giving me the option of linking or selecting one cell or putting one value in here at the moment. You can click the little arrow on the right here. This will collapse this window for you. You can see if I click it, it just makes the window a little smaller. There's then another arrow to expand it back open. That's really handy if you have a lot of data in your spreadsheet and you're having difficulty clicking on the cells. But in my case, my cells are really, really easy to get to. Now, I'm going to go less than, and I want it to check if the dates are less than today. Now, I could type the today function directly into this little window. You can see I've just typed in equals the word today and put those 2 brackets in. But I want to make this a little bit more dynamic in the case where I want to be able to change this date at any given time. So yesterday I might be checking it against today's date, but if I want to, I could actually change that to any date in the calendar. So it will just give me a little bit more flexibility by linking it out to an actual cell. So click into the field and then use your mouse and go and select the cell that you want to link through to. So I'm going to go and click on B5. Now, our instincts here normally kick in and everybody goes and clicks OK. But we don't want to do that here because we need to set the formatting of what we want these cells to look like so that we can see that differentiation. So I am going to go ahead and click the little format button here. Now, Excel lets you format things such as the font style, the color. You can also go in and do things like add borders around the cell. You can also add a background or a fill color. But I'm going to stick with something really simple here. I am going to make the text go bold so that it stands out, but I'm also going to change the color of it. So I want it to go to like a nice bright color. I try and avoid the fluorescent colors. They're a bit difficult to read, but I am going to go with like a nice bright red. All right, so let's choose the red. And then once I've got that, I can click OK here. And you should then be able to see in the preview what your text will look like if it meets this particular criteria. All right, so once we've done that, we can click OK. And you'll see now any dates that are before today, and today is the 3rd of December, are now highlighted in that red color. All right, now this is dynamic. So if I change any of these values, so if I click into a cell that currently has the formatting on it, and I change it to, for instance, tomorrow's date, it removes the formatting for me, right? And vice versa. If I changed a date to something that was yesterday, for instance, it didn't have formatting on it before, but now it does. All right, so it is dynamic. The only time you want to be cautious here is that if you have dates and you're copying and pasting them from other sources and you happen to copy and paste them over the top of where you have applied conditional formatting, you will lose that formatting. So for instance, if I go and pop in a couple of dates here, I'm going to go pop in some dates from maybe October last month. All right, there's my 1st of October. Now I'm using the autofill tool here. I'm just going to quickly fill this in. I'm going to get it to give me 7 dates. Now I am going to format it to match so that it does look like the short date format. All right, so they look the same. Now if I do a copy here, and normally I would use my keyboard, I would just press Ctrl+C. All right, nice quick way of copying. But if I just go ahead and paste straight over the top of my conditional formats, you'll see I do lose my conditional formats. These should be red, right? So what you want to remember is if you are using conditional formatting, when you paste over the top of those cells, you want to do what we call a paste special. So when we go to the little drop down arrow here for the paste button, I get my paste special options. You will also get this if you do a right mouse click and you try and paste using that menu. Okay, we get some paste options. What I want to do is I always want to paste just the values. So that's the actual values of the date. What that means is it doesn't take the original formatting. So I'm not going to end up with this original plain text formatting. It's going to allow me to keep the formatting from my conditional formats. So we want to click on the little paste special option, the one that has the 1, 2, 3 on it. As I said, that is just a paste values. And when I have now used that, now the formatting is kicked in automatically on that data. Right, so very important to be aware of that. The last thing you want to be aware of is how to clear formatting off. So if you happen to have formatted something that you maybe didn't anticipate to use, I can highlight those cells. So I'm going to, for instance, exclude August. So I've highlighted those 4 cells. I'm going to go to my conditional formatting button here, and you do see that you have a clear rules option. Now, you want to make sure that you're quite precise on what you choose here, because if you choose the second option where it says clear rules from entire sheet, it will remove formatting from the entire worksheet. But I just want to remove those rules from my selected or highlighted cells. All right, so I'm going to choose that one. And now you can see my formatting has been removed from that. So really easy to be able to remove or add in that conditional formatting if you need it. What about if you have applied your conditional formatting to some cells and then you decide you want to use those same conditional formats somewhere else? Let's say, for instance, I do want to apply it to these cells that are in column F. And I'm just going to turn off that original copy function because it is still has that little dotted line around it. So I'm just going to press escape on the keyboard. Now, what about if I wanted to apply this formatting over here in column F? All I want to do here is I'm going to use Format Painter. Brilliant little tool. If you haven't used it, you definitely need to start. I'm going to select one of the cells that does already have the conditional formatting applied. And then I'm going to go up to my Format Painter button. This is on the Home tab. All right, so I'm going to click that once. Now, when I click that, my cursor now has a little paintbrush icon next to it. So I do need to be a little bit careful here on what I click on, because if I get trigger happy with my mouse, I'm going to be painting this formatting all over the place. So I'm going to be quite precise, and I'm just going to apply it onto the cells that have the other dates. And as soon as I let go of the mouse, that formatting is applied. So now it has the same conditional formatting applied, as well as it does actually have a little white background has been applied, so a white fill color. But that's now applied my conditional formatting to those cells as well. All right, so just a little bit of a tip that can help you with that. So I hope you found this very helpful. There are the step-by-step instructions on my website. You can find the link in my channel, but happy to answer any questions if you want to pop a question below the video. Have a great day, everyone.